So these were the stakes last night. All right, the Los Angeles Lakers were playing the second of a back-to-back against the Indiana Pacers. And let me say this about the Pacers: the Pacers are not some easy out. Okay, the Pacers are a solid team. Um, they now have a really good coach in Rick Carlisle. They've been a perennial playoff team for the last couple of years. They have a really good player that they stole away from the Bucks that the Bucks should have never fucking given away, and Malcolm Brogdon. They got an all-star caliber player in Sabonis. I think it's Demontis Sabonis, the son of Arvidas. So they have a good team with good pieces, and they could beat any team on any given night. So to say that they're a bum team is very erroneous. But anyway, the Lakers were in the second of a back-to-back. Of course, the night before, they were without LeBron James due to the suspension that he incurred in that fracas against uh, Isaiah Stewart in that game against the Detroit Pistons. So with Anthony Davis comfortably at home, getting his hair braided, recovering from his infected pussy, it was going to be up to Russell Westbrook and LeBron James to take up the slack. And, Russ was Russ. He did get to the foul line 11 times, knocked down 9 free throws, but he's only 5 of 15 from the floor, 106 from 3-point range. He did have 7 rebounds. He only had 5 assists, but committed 4 turnovers. Um, you know, it's not always the number of turnovers that Russ has. It's the reckless ones that hurt. Um, there have been games when Russ has had 6 or 7 turnovers, but his overall play and impact in other ways sort of offsetted it. But then there's been games he's had 3 or 4 turnovers, but it's the type of turnovers that he had that were more costly. And in this particular contest, Russ was having some costly turnovers, even though he's had games with 10, 11 turnovers. LeBron James, even though he didn't have the most accurate game of his career, LeBron uh, threw caution to the wind and did what he had to do to get the victory. And those are sometimes the best performances when you do whatever it is, damn your shooting percentages, you do whatever it is that you got to do to get the victory. I recall a performance by Michael Jordan. Uh, I think it was featured on The Last Dance. At the time, the Bulls had not had a road win, which was unusual for the championship era Chicago Bulls. And they were playing against the Clippers, who were a lowly team at the time. But the Bulls were playing so poorly on the road, guys were missing shots and were being, tight and whatever. So Mike had to take over offensively. He didn't have the best shooting game of his career. He only shot 18 of 38 from the floor and only 13 of 19 from the free throw line, which was unusual for a guy who at that time was an 84% career free throw shooter. But he did what he had to do. He dropped 49 points, and they got their first road win of the season. He did what he had to do to try to salvage their season. At the time, they were not playing very well. He did what he had to do to try to turn things around. LeBron did what he had to do to stop the bleeding. He owned the fourth quarters, especially the latter parts of the fourth quarter, and the overtime stanza. He scored 17 of his 22 points in the fourth quarter and overtime, and the Lakers won 124 to 116. LeBron James was 13 of 29 overall, 5 of 12 from 3-point range. But those last few threes that he shot, that last one that he took, I thought was a bad shot. But hey, when you got it going like that, you know, sometimes there is no bad shot. And I can tell you something. I think you guys have noticed this as well. LeBron James has really worked on his deep threes. That wasn't in his repertoire when he was playing in Miami. I started seeing a little bit more of that during his second stint with Cleveland, but with the Lakers, he's really become more. He shot that shot. He shot it going in more frequently. His deep threes, and LeBron recognizes that he's not the same guy that can go to the basket consistently throughout the games as he did when he was in his prime physically. So he's working on that shot. I don't know why a lot of guys who aren't stronger don't shoot those types of shots, deep threes. Um, Oftentimes, players who are very strong shoot better from deep or farther away. I know uh, it sounds ridiculous, but oftentimes strong guys lose their touch as they get stronger from closer range, or the range that they've been accustomed to shooting from. So anyway, LeBron James, 39 points, a game high 39 points, just a phenomenal performance overall. Um, and I think that he might have, at least temporarily, saved Frank Vogel's job because I think if they had, I just thought about something. If they had lost this game, they would have dropped to 9-11, and it would have been emergency for Frank Vogel had they lost this game. I really do, being that they were getting ready to go on a road trip. Uh, Lakers Nation is really getting fed up. They're impatient. The Lakers Nation, they're a very impatient bunch. The Lakers organization isn't used, not with this type of talent around. They aren't used to this type of foolishness. Just think about it. The Lake Show, the team that had Vlade Divac and Nick Van Exel and Cedar Sabalos, I think Sadell Three, they were still a team that's going to win 44, 45 games. You know what I'm saying? They were playing better than this team. The Lake Show. So LeBron, I think, has temporarily salvaged Frank Vogel's job because I think if they had lost this game and dropped down to 9-11, I think Frank Vogel's seat would have been inferno lava, magma hot. You know, um, if you're a Laker fan, you can hope that this is the beginning of something. But how many times have we said this? How many times have we seen the Lakers get a good victory and we think that they're going to turn around and then the next two games they played like shit again? You know, but I'll just say this. Shout out to Ticket TV because he made this point too. The Lakers can't rely on LeBron James doing this all the time. This was uh, you know, a great performance by him, but you can't always count on him being able to do this every night. Other guys got to step up. And to me, this is also a further indictment on a guy like AD. LeBron did what he had to do. When things weren't going right, he took the team, put the team on his aching, arthritic back, his nearly 37-year-old back, and he did what he had to do. AD, who should be in the prime of his career, is instead, as we speak, changing his tampon. So he's not a leader. I know Lakers Nation have always sort of put the onus on Russell Westbrook, and rightfully so, as far as, needing to step up. But AD is supposed to be the tag team partner with LeBron. It's AD. And AD has been getting too much. Not here on social media, not here on LWC. We've been cooking them. But in the mainstream, I think they've been giving him too much of a pass. So they won without him, which makes me question. I mean, he's valuable. Don't get me wrong. He's very, very valuable. But at this point, right now, not historically, not last year, not the year before that, right now, with what AD is giving them, could you possibly pull the trigger for somebody more reliable? Could you possibly trade him for somebody that, if not more upside, is just more fucking reliable? But anyway, that's pretty much all I got to say. Tell me what you guys think.